Hi everyone, this is Kavya from Edureka. Welcome to today's session on PMP Exam Prep. Before we start off with the session, I'd like to address the agenda. Firstly, we will understand what is the PMP exam and why the PMP exam is so important. Then we'll move ahead and understand how to get your PMP certification. We will also talk about the PMP exam content outline, some ways to prepare for the exam, and also the PMP Exam Day Essentials, what you'll need, what you'll not need, all of that we'll be discussing. We'll conclude this session by discussing some important tips to prepare for the PMP certification exam. I hope the agenda is very clear. Kindly take up this time to subscribe to us and do not forget to hit that bell icon to never miss an update from the Edureka YouTube channel. Also, to learn more about new trending technologies, visit our page, the link to which is given in the description box below. So, without much ado, let's get started. Firstly, we will have to really understand what is the PMP exam. Without really understanding what this exam is, we can't really talk about how to prepare for it. PMP firstly stands for Project Management Professional. It is the world's leading project management certification, now including predictive, agile, and hybrid approaches. The PMP proves project leadership experience and expertise in any way of working. It supercharges careers for project leaders across industries and really helps organizations find the people they need to work smarter and perform better. You can take a PMP certification exam at home or in your office when it fits your schedule. So, research indicates that employers will need to fill nearly 2.2 million new project-oriented roles each year through 2027. This means highly skilled project managers are in very much demand. PMP certification is designed by project professionals for project professionals and validates that you are among the best highly skilled in three main areas. The first one is people, emphasizing the soft skills you need to effectively lead a project team in today's changing environment. The second area is process, where you're reinforcing the technical aspects of successfully managing projects. The last one is business environment, where you're highlighting the connection between projects and organizational strategy. PMP certification validates that you have the project leadership skills employers seek. The new PMP includes three key approaches. The first one is predictive or waterfall, then you have agile, and finally hybrid. You have to gain a competitive edge, prove your work smarter, make your goals a reality, and earn the PMP today. Now that we know what is the PMP certification, we will understand why choose only the PMP exam. Firstly, the PMP adds great value. CIO magazine ranked the PMP as the top project management certification in North America because it demonstrates you have the specific skills employers really seek, dedication to excellence, and the capacity to perform at the highest levels. PMP also delivers benefits. The median salary for project professionals in North America is 25% higher than those without it. And finally, the PMP proves you work smarter. It shows you have the skills to drive business results and increase your organization's impact in the office and around the world. As I've already mentioned, the median salary for PMP holders in the US is 25% higher than those without PMP certification, according to PMI's most recent project management salary survey. There are also more than 1 million PMP certification holders worldwide. They have earned universally recognized knowledge. So these are two of the major reasons as to why you need to write the PMP exam today. Firstly, you get a higher salary, which is advantageous for you. And secondly, it is a universally, that is a globally recognized certification program. So it's not just confined to one place. This is exactly why the PMP exam is so important. Now, the next question that would pop up is how to get your PMP. Now, earning your PMP certification is a commitment, and that is why it is so valuable. First question is, do you have real-world project management experience that leads to success? If yes, great, you finished the hardest part. You have to make sure you meet some of the following sets of PMP certification requirements. The first one is you will need a 4-year degree. So once that has been satisfied, then you will have to check you have been leading projects for at least 36 months. If you have surpassed that too, then the last requirement is you will need 35 hours of project management education or training, either that or you will have had to clear the 𝐂𝐴PM certification. So either one of these is required. So if you do not have a 4-year degree, that's okay. You can also have a high school diploma or an associate's degree. But along with that, you will need to have 60 months of leading projects. So that is one disadvantage if you have a high school diploma or an associate's degree. You must have experience of 60 months leading projects. So once that is done, so there are some steps that you will need to follow to get on your way to your PMP certification. The first step is to apply to take your exam. You validate your project management experience and education in this step and apply to your exam. The step 2 is to take your PMP exam. So here you will have to understand what to expect on the big day and how to prepare to pass. All of the preparation part happens in step 2. And the third step is to maintain your certification. It is really, really important to engage in continuous professional development in order to remain certified. So these are the 3 major steps. They seem quite simple, but it isn't. It takes months of preparation, it takes months of dedication, especially if you're working full time. So all of that you need to balance. You need to learn how to balance. And moving on to the exam fee, that is the cost of the exam. If you're a member of the Project Management Institute, that is the PMI, it is relatively much lesser. That is, it is rupees 23,459 rupees. But if you're a non-member, it is almost double the price. That is 42,863 rupees. Now that we've discussed the requirements for the PMP exam and also the steps as to how you could get started with it, let's move ahead to the main part of this session and discuss the exam content outline. So, as I've already mentioned previously, the exam identifies the proportion of questions from 3 different domains. The first one is the people domain, the second one is process, the third one is business environment. The people domain consists of 42% of items on the test, and they are divided into different tasks. So, domain 1 has 14 tasks, and we will be discussing each of these tasks in detail. The first one is manage conflict. Here you will have to interpret the source and stage of the conflict, analyze the context for the conflict, and even evaluate or recommend or reconcile the appropriate conflict resolution solution. The second task is to lead a team. You need to set a clear vision and mission, support diversity and inclusion, value servant leadership, determine an appropriate leadership style. Basically, you will have to inspire, motivate, and influence team members or stakeholders. This way, you can analyze team members and stakeholders' influence, also keeping in mind to distinguish various options to lead various team members and stakeholders. In task 3, you have to support team performance. That is, you'll have to apprise team member performance against key performance indicators. You will have to basically support and recognize team member growth and development, determine appropriate feedback approach, and verify performance improvements. In task 4, you will have to empower team members and stakeholders. That is, organize around team strengths, support team task accountability, evaluate demonstration of task accountability, basically determine and bestow levels of decision-making authority. In task 5, you will have to ensure team members or stakeholders are adequately trained. That is, you'll have to determine required competencies and elements of training. You will also have to determine training options based on training needs, allocate resources for training, and finally measure training outcomes. In task 6, you will have to build a team. That is, appraise stakeholder skills, deduce project resource requirements, continuously assess and refresh team skills to meet project needs, and also maintain team and knowledge transfer. Moving on to task 7, you will have to address and remove impediments, obstacles, and blockers for the team. You will have to prioritize critical impediments, obstacles, and blockers for the team. That is, you will have to use network to implement solutions to really remove these blockages that you have in your team. You will also have to reassess continually to ensure impediments, obstacles, and blockers for the team are being addressed regularly. In task 8, you have to negotiate project agreements. That is, analyze the bounds of the negotiations for agreement. You will also have to assess priorities and determine the ultimate objectives, verify that the objectives of the project requirements are met, participate in agreement negotiations, also determine a negotiation strategy. In task 9, you have to collaborate with stakeholders, that is, evaluate engagement needs for stakeholders, optimize alignment between stakeholder needs, expectations, and project objectives. That is, you have to build and influence stakeholders to really accomplish project objectives. In task 10, you'll have to build shared understanding. That is, you'll have to break down situation to identify the root cause of a misunderstanding if it ever occurs. You'll have to survey all necessary parties to reach consensus, support outcome of parties' agreement, and investigate potential misunderstanding. In task 11, you'll have to engage and support virtual teams. That is, you'll have to examine virtual team members' needs, investigate alternatives for virtual team member engagement, implement options for virtual team member engagement, and continually evaluate the effectiveness of team member engagement. In task 11, you have to define team ground rules. That is, you'll have to communicate organizational principles with team and the external stakeholders. Basically, you'll have to create an environment that fosters adherence to the ground rules and manages and rectifies ground rule violations. In task 13, you will have to mentor relevant stakeholders, that is, allocate the time to mentoring and also recognize and act on mentoring opportunities. Finally, in task 14, you'll have to promote team performance through the application of emotional intelligence. That is, you'll have to assess behavior through the use of personality indicators and analyze personality indicators and adjust to the emotional needs of key project stakeholders. Now that we've discussed the first domain, we'll move on to the second one, that is process, that takes up 50% of items on the test. And here we have about 17 tasks, and we'll be discussing each of these tasks in detail. So the first task here is to execute project with the urgency required to deliver business value. Here you will have to assess opportunities to deliver value incrementally, examine the business value throughout the project, and support the team to subdivide project tasks as necessary to find the minimum viable product. In task 2, you will have to manage communications. You'll have to analyze communication needs of all the stakeholders, determine communication methods, channels, frequency, and level of detail for all stakeholders. Communicate project information and updates effectively here, and also confirm communication is understood and feedback is received. In task 3, you will have to assess and manage risks. This is basically determining risk management options and iteratively assess and prioritize risks. In task 4, you engage with stakeholders, that is, analyze them, categorize them, and engage stakeholders by each of their categories. You will also have to develop, execute, and validate a strategy for stakeholder engagement. In task 5, you'll have to plan and manage budget and resources. This is really important. That is, you'll have to estimate budgetary needs based on the scope of the project and lessons learned from past projects. You'll have to anticipate future budget challenges, monitor budget variations, and work with governance to adjust as necessary. That is, you'll have to plan and manage your resources accordingly. In task 6, on the other hand, you will have to plan and manage schedule. Here, you'll have to estimate project tasks, utilize benchmarks and historical data, prepare schedule based on methodology, measure ongoing progress based on methodology, and modify schedule as needed based on it. Task 7, on the other hand, helps you plan and manage quality of products and deliverables. You can determine quality standard required for project deliverables, recommend options for improvement based on quality gaps, continually survey project deliverable quality. In task 8, you plan and manage scope, that is, determine and prioritize requirements, break down scope, and finally monitor and validate scope. In task 9, you integrate project planning activities. Here you consolidate the project or phase plans, assess consolidated project plans for dependencies, gaps, and continued business value, analyze the data that has been collected, collect and analyze data to make informed project decisions, and determine critical information requirements. In task 10, you manage project changes. You anticipate and embrace the need for change, basically determine the strategy to handle that change, execute change management strategy according to the methodology, and finally determine a change response to move the project forward. In task 11, you plan and manage procurement. You define resource requirements and needs, communicate resource requirements, manage suppliers or contracts, plan and manage procurement strategy, and finally develop a delivery solution. Task 12 allows you to manage project artifacts. Here you will have to determine the requirements for managing the project artifacts, validate that the project information is kept up to date and accessible to all the stakeholders, and continually assess the effectiveness of the management of the project artifacts. In task 13, you will have to determine the appropriate project methodology and methods and practices. Here you will have to assess project needs, complexity, and magnitude, recommend project execution strategy, recommend also a project methodology or approach, basically use iterative incremental practices through the project lifecycle. In task 14, you will have to establish project governance structure, that is, determine appropriate governance for a project and define escalation paths and thresholds. In task 15, you manage project issues, that is, you recognize when a risk becomes an issue, attack the issue with the optimal action to achieve project success, and collaborate with relevant stakeholders on the approach to resolve the issues. Task 16 ensures knowledge transfer for project continuity. You discuss project responsibilities within the team, outline expectations for working environment, and confirm approach for knowledge transfers. Finally, in task 17, you plan and manage project or phase closure or transitions. Here you determine criteria to successfully close the project or phase, validate readiness for transitions, and conclude activities to close our project or phase. Moving on to the last domain, we have business environment that takes up 8% of the items that come in your exam. Here you have just 4 tasks. The first one is to plan and manage project compliance. Here you will require to confirm project compliance requirements, classify compliance categories, determine potential threats to compliance, and use methods to support compliance. That is, analyze the consequences of non-compliance, determine the necessary approach and action to really address compliance needs, measure the extent to which the project is in compliance. In task 2, you evaluate and deliver project benefits and value. Here you investigate that benefits are identified, document agreement on ownership for ongoing benefit realization, verify measurement system is in place to track benefits, and evaluate delivery options to demonstrate value, appraise stakeholders of value gain process. In task 3, you evaluate and address external business environment changes for impact on scope. That is, you survey changes to external business environment, access and prioritize impact on project scope or backlog based on changes in external business environment. Here also you recommend options for scope or backlog changes, continually review external business environment for impacts on project scope or backlog. Finally, in task 4, you support organizational change. That is, you assess organizational culture, evaluate impact of organizational change to project, and determine required actions. You also evaluate impact of the project to the organization and determine required actions. Now that we've discussed the PMP content outline, we will understand ways to really prepare for this exam. The first thing you'll have to do is move forward with confidence. So there are 5 ways project management professionals commonly tackle the exam prep process. The first step is to envision the finish line. Create a clear mission statement spelling out why earning the PMP is important to you and review it to stay motivated throughout the prep process. You will have to plan to regularly study in the weeks or months ahead of the big day. You'll have to also create a study schedule that integrates work and family obligations. Share your goal with others so they can help you stay on track. Seek support from your boss. See if your organization will allow you to study during work hours. The second step is to tour the terrain. Learn more about the exam's 180 question format. Questions will be a combination of MCQs, multiple responses, matching, hotspot, and limited fill in the blank. You can also closely review the PMP exam content outlined below, available in 16 translations, which details knowledge areas covered in the PMP exam content outline that we just discussed. You will have to create a course of action. This is by finding the most useful exam prep resources. Check out the local PMI chapters that can help you find a study group or members willing to guide you. Also, an authorized training providers to help you prepare for the exam. And also, many practice exams can be found online or as part of formal training courses. Fourth step would to hit the books. A guide to the project management body of knowledge, that is the PMBOK guide, is a go-to reference book, but the exam isn't only based solely on this. Many PMI members lean on PMP exam book preps. You can head on to the projectmanagement.com for more recommendations. Finally, the fifth way is to join the club. Project professionals are eager to provide advice and encouragement. You can check out projectmanagement.com, where there are plenty of blog posts and community discussions which are devoted to exam prep challenges and advice. PMI's LinkedIn Project Professional Group is also a great place to post a question about the exam prep process when you've hit a wall. You can also check out the local PMI chapters. These can be another resource when you need a hand. With this, we move on to the next part of this session, where we'll be talking about PMP Exam Day Essentials. Now that you have made the investment to earn the Project Management Professional certification, it is time to make the commitment to prepare for and pass the exam. Carving out time and securing the proper materials to study requires discipline and focus. As a project professional, you have got what it takes. Firstly, you have to pad your schedule. Visit the test center in advance so you know precisely how to get there. Find the room immediately on test day. Arrive 30 minutes early so you have time to relax before you start your exam. The second advice would be to know your limits. 230 minutes, time allocated for exam completions. There'll be 2 10 minutes breaks for computer-based tests, no scheduled breaks for paper-based exam. And third one is to make sure you have your ID, which is valid and government issues. It should include your photo and your signature. And you don't really have to carry your calculator because you have it built into computer-based tests. Scratch paper and pencils or erasable boards and markers are provided by test administrators, so again, you don't have to really carry them. And you will find out if you're passed before you leave. That is, results is completely computer based testing, so it will be out immediately after your exam. Now that we've discussed some of the exam day essentials, let's check out the tips to prepare for PMP. So, the first and the most recommended tip would be for you to opt for a certification training. Edureka's PMP online course gives you extensive knowledge of project management concepts, highlighted specifically in the PMBOK 6th edition guide, and is aligned with the latest PMP exam content outline. If you're someone who's interested in taking up the PMP exam, this certification training is perfect for you. So, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and register today. With this, we come to the end of today's session on PMP Exam Prep. I hope you had a great time. If you have any queries, feel free to leave them in the comment section below and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Until next time, thank you.
I hope you have enjoyed listening to this video. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries, and we will reply them at the earliest. Do look out for more videos in our playlist and subscribe to Edureka channel to learn more. Happy learning!